Going on, everyone? Welcome, Rabid here, and hopefully we are finally coming up to the first wave of altcoin season. So I do believe altcoin season is coming. It's about the time frame where it should begin. Whether it happens at the same time, that's obviously we have no idea. But we do see that prices are starting to climb. The other thing is, I think there's going to be 2 or 3 waves. Actually, there might even be 4. Again, it's hard to tell here, but I do think wave 1 usually happens around this time. Wave 2, which usually happens sometime around midsummer. We'll see if that happens. Wave 3 is usually the wave that happens around Bitcoin when it goes to its cycle peak all-time high, which is probably going to be around October, November. And then wave 4 is slightly after January, February, where some late stragglers usually tend to, see their all-time highs at that. And each wave is differently. So coins that pump in wave 1 are usually dead after that. And then wave 2 will be a new set of coins and vice versa, wave 3 and wave 4 and so on. So once that wave hits for those coins, they're dead, they're gone. And if you still have bags left, obviously you're left holding the bag for another 4 years. So let's kind of have a look at some things. So let's start with this chart here. This is the Bitcoin dominance chart. And if you're unfamiliar about it, it pretty much tells you where all the money is versus Bitcoin. And here we can see clearly Bitcoin dominance is gaining a lead over everything else. Now, everything else is all the other altcoins out there. As we can see, Ethereum, they have it as its own thing. I don't think Ethereum should be a key factor anymore. People are really losing interest in that with other cheaper chains and, just other chains in general and so on. But others are 29% here. And this is pretty much all the other altcoins, all the cryptocurrencies other than Bitcoin fall in this category. And we can see just how big just Bitcoin alone is. It is the OG crypto. It is the king, and it has all the money flowing to it. But you got to keep in mind the Bitcoin dominance here. It looks like Bitcoin is pulling away. In theory, on an altcoin season, this would start to climb while Bitcoin starts to drop, bringing them close together. But inside of the altcoins here, this is all you got to remember. This is everything else. This is all those stupid meme coins. This is all the rug pulls. This is where there's no money really at. And as crypto miners, we don't care about 99.9% of thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of coins, which, are probably most likely scams. So we got to come into here, and we're just looking over the past 24 hours. Obvious Avian is up 658%. That's only like maybe $40 worth of volume or something, not very much. So we're not really counting that. We do have Meow Coin and other things, but we can see the coins that we've been mining, a lot of proof of work coins, some of the early, Kaspa projects with their KRC20 tokens like Kaspa. This is another meme coin, so, I wouldn't really consider that. Mostly I'm talking about altcoin season stuff here when we're looking at proof of work coins for us that follow this channel as crypto miners. We can see they're moving up quite a bit here. So if we look at the past 24 hours, we can see decent greens here, but we have seen pretty big movements on some coins over various days. And what I mean by that is you need solid pumps for like 2 weeks to a month here. Example, I'm just going to go into Dogecoin to kind of show you what I mean here for last cycle. If we come into this, I'm just going to go to all, and we're going to come into last cycle right here, make it a lot smaller so we can actually see things better. And we can see the pump of Dogecoin happened about right here. And this is on April 7th, which is, this month here. So obviously we're already lacking behind on this, or it already happened and we missed it because we did see a pretty decent Doge pump there. I think it was October, November of the last year towards the end of 2024. So maybe that was its cycle peak already and it didn't hit its all-time high, which we could have missed the boat, because you got to watch for when these alts start pumping, because that could be a great sign. So we can see here, this started here though on the 4th month, 7 day, and it hit its peak about 1 month later. So it was pretty much a month of some nice gains. Yeah, we had a dip, but here is where the cycle peak happened at 58 cents, and it was about exactly a 1 month pump coming in to hit this stage right here. So we can see at this point it just went downhill and down to nothing at that point here. But fast forward to what I was kind of talking about earlier. Here we can see where we got to 45 cents. That was actually in December. So this may be Doge's peak and we missed the boat. So all of us hodling Doge and everything right now, we may have to wait another 4 years. Hopefully we see another major pump coming, but based on everything I'm about to tell you, is it only happens once per cycle and then it's over. So there is a good chance we did miss the boat on Doge, but I do hope we hopefully get, another one for Dogecoin. So now that you kind of got an idea there, 2 weeks to a solid month of pumping could be the all-time high for the cycle. It might not even hit an all-time high for the coin, but for the cycle. So now we're going to see gradual over days. If we actually go into the 7 days here, we can see some coins are doing things here. So Pack Project, for an example, it's up 18%, up 105% in the past 7 days because it has been pumping for about 3-4 days straight here. Does this have a date on it? No, it doesn't have a date when I go to that, but we can open it up right quick here. Let's open that up in a new tab. And if we just go to the past 7 days, we can see here we are on the 24th. Today is the 29th. And it's been pretty solid going up the entire time for almost a week now. So things are happening, another solid week here, maybe 2 weeks, and we could be coming up to its high at that point. Let's just go back and find a different coin here. Octa.Space is another one. It's only up 6% right now. I think yesterday it was up 20 or 30% yesterday, and over the 7 days, because we have been seeing a 2-3 day solid peak here, we're up 60%. Obviously, it used to high, I believe it was almost at $2, so we're still a ways away from that when it's seen that sometime last year here though. But hopefully we could pass that over. If we get a nice solid pump for 2-3 weeks straight here, we could see a nice all-time high happen on Octa.Space, meaning we are starting off this altcoin season. We got to be ready to dump our coins. Dump coin season for us crypto miners is upon us. Look at even Cadena is doing something. Obviously, it's nowhere where it was last year, the year before and stuff, but we're starting to see it climb. We're up 6% in the past 24 hours, but for the 7 days, it's been pumping for a few days now. We're up 41% here. SPOW is even doing something. It's up 35 in 7 days. Ironfish is up 29. SC Prime, Quantum Resist. Now, QRL, this is a nice random X CPU mineable coin. It also works on the Bitmain X5, but sadly, it sounds like they are moving to a full proof of stake platform. So that's going to suck. It's no longer going to be proof of work. So I should probably just unstart. I'm going to wait till it does that before I unstart because you can technically still mine it. But yeah, that is moving away from miners. So it'll be dead to me, probably all you guys as well. We got Flux here that's making moves. Now, when I was talking earlier about late bloomers, Flux is one of those late bloomers. Let's come back into here. We'll have a peek here. I'm going to go into the all. We're going to rewind here, come in, and come back into here. So keep in mind, Bitcoin pumped around here, November. Yeah, so November of 2021, this is the area where Bitcoin hit its all-time high. It also, in the midsummer, did a nice spike here, and Bitcoin had a nice double peak there last cycle, making its all-time high in November. But here we can see Flux did do a pump with Bitcoin, but it actually went to its all-time high in January 12th, which was 2 months after Bitcoin peaked. So this is where I'm calling, this is wave 4 of coins, the last run before the ultimate bear market kicks in. But here we can see Flux was a late bloomer, even though it wanted to do something. Now, wave 3, in my mind, is the Bitcoin that moves with Bitcoin. So this is when coins do start to pump at this stage here, when Bitcoin starts to make it moves to its actual cycle peak all-time high. All right, and just looking back at Bitcoin in 2021, just to kind of give you an idea, Bitcoin's price versus altcoin season and, the wave. So here was wave 1 of altcoin season. We can see Bitcoin is obviously looking strong at this point, but here we can see the 4th month to about the 5th or 6th month. This is when we usually see wave 1 of altcoin season, which is what we're coming into right now. I do see a few things that analysts are predicting for May for Bitcoin to possibly hit a new all-time high, or at least touch the previous one that we already seen. So that'll be huge and bring a lot of crypto prices up. Obviously, next month is right around the corner. And if that does happen, it's very volatile right now, as the entire market situation is only a tweet away from Trump, destroying it all. So we don't know what's really going to happen there. Things are in turmoil right now. But if things continue, and as we know, tariffs and stuff are going to be off for about 3 months and then turn back on and talk again, that could be the end of wave 1, leading into another delay of wave 2 and so on. And, things might still be playing out exactly how they should for the cycles. We always say ignore the news here. Things are a little weird now with Trump running everything through Twitter and stuff. His tweet away and a whole market crashes, which is insane, but it still seems to be happening around the time it should. So crazy stuff is happening. But anyway, coming in, here's wave one, you know, 4th month to about the 5th, 6th month. I would say this in here is wave one. And then, you know, we have a little halt here. Then moving into about right here, the 7th, 8th month, you know, middle to end of summer. This is when we see wave two usually. I do believe Ergo was a wave two type of coin here. I just want to bring up Ergo. Where did it peak here last cycle? Yeah, so 8th month. So here is your cycle peak. That's August or something, I believe. I could be wrong. You know, just top of my head right quick here. But Ergo, you can see it hit its cycle peak here. But, you know, there's wave two. Wave three is usually when Bitcoin moves to its all-time high. That is right here. And then again, I mentioned wave four is those late bloomers in here. And then every coin that pumps in this stage, for altcoins at least, not Bitcoin. As we can see, Bitcoin did recover and come back to its actual all-time high. But usually the altcoins, once they pump, they are done. These coins that all pumped in this stage will not pump in this stage. They might go up a little bit and stuff, obviously, but they're not going to see, you know, 100, 500, 1,000% gains like we will for the next stage of that. So then wave two hits. Then, you know, once we're moving into wave three, all the coins in wave one and wave two are done for. Wave three is then going to peak. And then we're waiting for the final stragglers of wave four. So all these three coins are dead at this point in these three waves. And then we're coming into the final stragglers in this area here, which was that January, February-ish. And then, you know, ultimately we're back into a bear market where everything just sucks. So that's my 2 cents. I do believe altcoin season is starting for wave one, you know, and again, you know, in 3 months time, we're going to see, you know, tariff talk happening and all this stuff again. And all of a sudden we're probably going to see the crypto markets crash. And then most likely we're just going to see another delay or, you know, a deal's worked out or something. Then we're going to see everything halted and then wave two will begin. And it's just going to be a crazy year because we're pretty much glued to Twitter waiting to see what Trump is going to say next. But overall, throughout this year, I do feel that we are going to see at least 2 or 3 waves of altcoins. Hopefully they're the coins that we're holding, and hopefully you get in time to actually dump those coins, or we're going to be left again. We got the Bitcoin dominance chart here. It is pulling away, but as mentioned, you know, altcoins here are all with all them rug pulls and all the crappy coins, but it's looking like a lot of our proof of work coins are beginning to pump now. So we could be a month away between some of you guys, hopefully myself as well, being filthy, stinky rich. I'll see you on the next one. Rabid out.